Okay, folks, we're ready to go. We've had time to leap into the phone booth and change into our other superhero costumes, outfits.
This is our third meeting of the day.
Did I give you? Oh no, there you go. Okay.
You have your.
Yeah, I got both of them here. No, I don't. Are we gonna close the slides? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Kincardine at 5:01. Oh dear. On August 12, 2026 in the Council Chambers. Roll call this evening, Deputy Mayor Hinchberger.
Present.
Councillor Blackwell.
Present.
Councillor Kavanagh.
Present.
Councillor Monroe.
Present.
Councillor Prenger.
Present.
Councillor Steinoff-Gray. Councillor Stewart.
Present.
Councillor Williams.
Present.
Councillor Kavanagh, please.
Thank you very much. We'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are meeting on the traditional lands and treaty territory of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, which includes the Chippewa of Nawash Unceded First Nation and the Chippewa of Saugeen First Nation, whose ancestors were the first to inhabit, care for, and live on this land. We recognize and deeply appreciate the contributions that Indigenous people have made both in caring for this land and shaping and strengthening this community, our province, and our country. We recognize the importance of thoughtful land planning and stewardship with the responsibility we share to care for the land from a long-term perspective, including the First Nations teachings of considering the impact of decisions on land for 7 generations and reminding us that the choices we make today can have lasting consequences for those who will inherit this land in the future. As a public service organization, we are dedicated to learning and acknowledging Indigenous history and culture and are committed to the actions that move us on a journey towards truth, healing, and reconciliation with the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, the Métis Nation of Ontario, and the historic Saugeen Métis. Thank you.
Are there any council amendments, additions, or deletions to or from the agenda this evening? I'd like to remind council members to disclose any pecuniary interest now or as it arises in the meeting and the general nature thereof. We need a mover and seconder that the minutes of the council meeting held on July 22, 2026 be adopted as printed by Councillors Stewart and Monroe. All in favor? That's carried. All right, we have a delegation this evening. Ms. Gerling. Oh, there she is, Ms. McFadgen and Mr. Kraling with the Philosopher's Wool Environmental Preserve are here, presenting on the secondary plan for Inverhuron and the Lakeshore. Ms. Gerling, thank you for being here tonight. Oh, Councillor Stewart.
Sorry, and through you, Mayor, this is a very complicated subject and everything, and they've done a great job, and most of you have read it. I'm going to ask the council, let's extend their time double. Instead of the usual 10 minutes, can we bring it up to 25? Okay, well, let's, Tessa, what do you need?
May I just say thank you all for your time. I'm extremely appreciative of being able to be here today, and I was going to ask for just an extra minute or so beyond my allotted 5, and I'm mindful of Council's precious time. There is, as Councillor Stewart said, a lot of ground to cover, so if I could just get an extra minute or so, I would be appreciative.
I recommend let's give them an extra 5 to make it 10.
Let's go for 2, somewhere in the middle. And of course, council has the opportunity for questions following, and that can lead to some further conversation when that's warranted. Okay, so thanks, and away you go, Ms. Gerling.
Perfect, thank you. Good afternoon. I am Tessa Gerling, and I am the Managing Director of the Philosopher's Wool Environmental Preserve, PWEP for short. Can you hear me? Good, okay. We are Inverhuron's conservation organization. I would like to thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council, for the opportunity to present our outline of a secondary plan for Inverhuron and the Lakeshore here today. I will go over the highlights of our written proposal that outlines the concept, purpose, and process of creating the secondary plan for our area. This is the document that has been circulated to you all. So what is a secondary plan? Just in one brief sentence, a secondary plan is a specialized, long-term land use planning document that provides detailed policies for a specific geographic area of a municipality. And why does Inverhuron require a secondary plan? Why do we need these detailed policies? In our view, it is crucial, especially at this point in time, when growth and development pressures are set to increase exponentially, to come up with a long-term vision of what we want our community to look like in the future. Inverhuron and the Lakeshore represent a very special portion of the municipality due to the unique natural, cultural, and historical heritage features in our area, and PUEP, as well as a significant contingent of the Inverhuron community, consider it vitally important to protect and preserve these features. We believe it is possible to meet the growing housing need through thoughtful, environmentally responsible development that focuses on affordable housing, while at the same time safeguarding natural environments on which we ultimately all depend for the essential services provided by functioning, healthy ecosystems. To this end, it is necessary to work in a concerted, organized manner towards containing development within urban boundaries, making efficient use of existing infrastructure, and protecting rural and natural environments such as Inverhuron and the Lakeshore from urban sprawl. We have put a great deal of effort, thought, and care into these land use issues, and more importantly, so has the community. Your constituents have been tirelessly engaged in the whole process for several years now. They have commented on the comprehensive zoning bylaw review and participated in the county's official plan review. As you can see, we care deeply about the outcome of this matter and are ready to work together towards a constructive, positive resolution. A secondary plan will allow the community to develop policies that shape future development and codify a framework that both respects Inverhuron's heritage character and integrates development to serve the needs of existing and future residents. As for the process of creating a secondary plan, during the initial phase, background studies are prepared and a vision or land use concept for the area in question is drafted. Terms of reference are determined in consultation with the Citizen Advisory Committee. We have recommended as well that the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation be involved from the very beginning in the creation of the terms of reference, in line with principles of consultation and reconciliation. Supporting studies would likely include natural heritage studies, water and shoreline studies such as sub-watershed plans and lake water quality monitoring, as well as a comprehensive stormwater management plan and a cultural heritage landscape assessment. From inception to adoption, the process of creating a secondary plan can take several years. I would like to highlight here something we're very excited about, that PUEP has been able to secure a collaboration with the University of Guelph's School of Environmental Design and Rural Development. We're just waiting for their formal letter of support, but the collaboration has been verbally confirmed. Graduate students from the Rural Planning and Development Program would be able to support planning staff in a variety of capacities and throughout all stages of the process. Dr. Paul Kraling is also a resource person with PUEP, with a long history of land use planning in Ontario, and he will be able to sit on the advisory committee as well. He is attending online as part of our delegation here today and will be available to answer any questions council may have. In terms of funding, PUEP and graduate planning students will be able to assist with identifying and securing sources of funding. Some of the opportunities that have already been identified include the Rural Ontario Development Program, MyTax, and FCM Green Municipal Funds. As for the timeline, it is suggested the study process begin with the newly elected council in the fall of 2026. As an initial step, we suggest that the graduate planning students do a best practice review of other secondary plans that have been completed with similar development constraints and determine potential costs to complete the work. We therefore respectfully request that Council endorse the need to prepare a secondary plan for Inverhuron and the lakeshore. In order to proceed, we would also require support from municipal staff to work with PWEP and the Citizen Advisory Committee to set the terms of reference and further the completion of the plan. That concludes my presentation.
You can't be done. You got another minute left, so anyway. Thank you for that presentation. And as you're aware, we procedurally, we don't have a lot of options. We can refer the report to our staff to come back with a report and say, well, you know, what does that mean to incorporate or to accept your recommendations? And you know, that's not an uncommon path forward. But we also have lots of opportunity to ask questions for clarity or, you know, expand what your thoughts are in this area or that area. So to council members, are there any questions regarding Ms. Gerling's report? Councillor Pranger, please.
Thank you, through you, Chair. More of some comments, actually. I'd like to thank you for coming and commend you on NPWEP on the work that you guys have done. A considerable amount of effort has clearly gone into this in terms of your research,
Just excuse me.
Yes.
Are you recording the council meeting? Watching? Yeah, because we weren't sure procedurally. You can't record the council meeting without our being aware of that. Just so you know. Okay, Councillor Pranger, thank you. If you continue.
No problem. Your resourcing, contacting the University of Guelph, getting them on board, I mean, I don't think that's something that any of us would have had the capacity to do. Your stakeholder management in this is all very impressive, and I think it's going towards an initiative that will benefit our community. I recognize that our shoreline is a very unique place to live, and our plan for developing it needs to be an overarching look at the whole thing and not piecemeal developments here and there. It's and making exceptions here and there. So I think this is the right way to go. I would fully endorse this approach and having staff look into this. And I would just, I guess how on earth did you manage to get Guelph involved in this? Can you answer that for us?
Of course. Well, I will say that Dr. Kraling, who is online here with us today, has been a huge advocate for us and has assisted us throughout the process. One thing that we are very careful of doing is always to work with qualified experts and professionals in each field that we're dealing with to make sure that the recommendations and proposals that we come up with are grounded in fact and best practices. And Dr. Kraling has volunteered his time, and so as well, I would like to say that another link to the University of Guelph Graduate Planning School was through the Ontario Farmland Trust. So as many of you know, the OFT has taken over the farm, the Bourgeois farm in Inverhuron, which used to be a sheep farm where Philosopher's Wool started and is currently still located. And the OFT now owns and manages that land, and they are out of the University of Guelph as well. So that was another avenue that we pursued to have an initial contact. And the response that we received from the Graduate Planning School was extraordinarily positive. The director of the program was really interested in working on this project. He thinks that for their graduate planning students, it would be a fantastic opportunity to be able to incorporate this in their coursework. And he mentioned that there's several faculty members who would be interested in participating in this as well, and potentially even doing a case study out of this to be taught at the University of Guelph. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you. I think that's very relevant extra detail that we should be aware of, because the amount of work that you've put in and the support you have from these organizations, I think, is such a resource for municipality, we would be, if we went ahead with this plan, and this approach to this plan, we would be gaining support and funding and basically free help that I don't know if any other community has. Like, this is an opportunity, a great opportunity, I think, for us to take advantage of. And I have noticed that that PWEP does go with specialists and doesn't just, you do your research and you get specialists involved, and I think you do wonderful work. So I think we're lucky to have a group like this supporting our community.
Councillor Stewart, please.
Absolutely.
I think I heard there, through you, Mayor, I think I heard there that she wanted to give directionally back to the staff, and I'd second that. Just to give you some history, we last term, when we did our official plan, and it took a lot of time, took a lot of consultants, there was a lot of public input. I was sort of against the secondary, urban center, but I lost that battle with the county. I wish, Tess, you and your group were with me there, because this is really, what's really being attempted here is do an amendment to our Lakeshore official plan. So we're actually basically, poor Dwayne sitting there going, you're actually redoing and re-looking at what we did with consultants and to get some understanding with the community now fully supporting us. And it's too bad it didn't happen 5 years ago, but it is going to happen, and I think it's the right movement forward. There was quite a delegation at the county, and the mayors decided that the best attempt for this would be a local amendment, not a county amendment. It would be a local amendment on our official plan. So I'm fully endorsing that we send this to staff and start working on this. It's a long process, as we know. This could take a year, 2 or 3 years, but a worthwhile process, and everyone learns from that, and everyone gets to contribute. So I fully endorse this. Thank you.
Councillor Williams, please.
Yes, I echo my three fellow councillors' kind of comments. This has clearly been a lot of work, and it was a really great presentation. I'm not sure if I would have the answer to this question, but are there examples of secondary plans with similar geographic kind of sub-areas, whether it's in Bruce County or outside of the region, that have been successful in adopting like a secondary plan for something similar?
Thank you for that question. Yes, there are several examples like this, and this is maybe an item that Dr. Kraling would be able to speak to in greater detail.
Thank you. We don't need a whole lot of detail, just a couple of examples. I think we're going to agree with the idea of referring this to staff for a future, comment. But Dr. Kraling, if there's a couple of communities that you could highlight that have done a secondary study like this.
Yes, good afternoon, Your Worship, councilors, staff. Yeah, there's many secondary plans in different parts of Ontario that have looked at unique challenges. The one that I kind of reference along Lake Huron would be Bayfield, that had a secondary plan completed. They had servicing difficulties, limited capacity in some of their trunk services, as well as a distinct character community with a lot of people interested in the protecting the heritage, cultural heritage, and the natural features that are in that community. So that's one that comes to mind. There's another one that's very recent in Brant County, that a secondary plan for the Scotland and Oakland little villages, hamlets, to the southwest of the Brantford community that is again facing tremendous growth pressures, not as much possibly as you are in Kincardine, but relative to the GTA expansion to the Brantford area. So that's a couple examples that are reflective of what a secondary plan can do in a rural context.
Okay, Councillor Blackwell, please.
Sorry. Thank you for coming, and thank you for PWEP for all your civic engagement over the years. One of the things I wanted to mention was right now, I know there were some comments made that, we wanted staff to get working on this right now. I don't think we actually have that capacity through this motion. It would be more about requesting a staff report on the issue. Okay. The other thing that I'd like to request is if we're sending this back to staff, I'd actually like them to take a look at and evaluate whether a secondary plan or a community planning permit system might achieve the goals that they're aiming to be achieved. So there's been some places like Frontenac, County of Brant, Huntsville that have used a community planning permit system specifically looking at lake shores or environmental areas. And they do things more around things like site planning, protectoring, buffering, those kind of things that sometimes we don't get as much in our OP processes. So I just like to have that consideration. I think it's always better to start with a clear understanding of what the goals are and then find potential solutions, which I think is what PUEP has done. But I think that that's a newer planning process that we should also consider rather than kind of layering on another level of a secondary OP. Is there actually a way to kind of take what we have and create a structure that we can narrow it down and implement it a little bit more effectively?
Okay. Tessa, thank you so much. Marty, thank you for being here this evening. Great presentation, and we look forward to future conversations.
Thank you very much.
You would like a motion for that? Okay. We need a mover and seconder that we refer this report to staff for a future report. Councillor Prenger and Stewart, all in favor, and that's carried. Okay, moving on to staff report. We have an update regarding the Kincardine Wastewater Treatment Plant Lagoons. And our manager, Mark O'Leary, is here this evening. Mark, thanks for being here.
Listen, you don't have to stay if you don't want to. Council has to stay. They always seem that they're committed, like, oh, we have to stay for the whole meeting.
Mark, go ahead.
Evening through you, Mayor Craig. I believe at the last council meeting there was a priority motion brought forward to perhaps provide a broader spectrum of the conditions at the lagoons, including maybe some potential history there of problems. So we've drafted a report. I don't really have a lot of other comments outside of the report, but I'm certainly willing to take questions if there's questions from council.
So I suppose the question is, how are things going at the lagoon these days? What's the status or the answer to some questions we had, or the plan going forward?
Yeah, so through you, Mayor Craig, so the status at the lagoons remains fairly similar. The aeration system remains off at this point. We are tentatively scheduled and have been working with strategic initiatives and communications team. But based on some of the correspondence we've had, we are planning on firing up the aeration system on, I believe it's the Tuesday after Labor Day. I think it's the 7th, but it might be the 8th. We are going to, the idea around that was the odors have improved as far as not expanding as far into town. We are still getting with directional winds some challenges there, but we have full intention of moving on the 7th of September. The recommendation has been to bring both blowers online. We have tried this at different times, but not at, I guess, a steadier pace. The idea would be to see what that system will perform at, and if we can start to drive dissolved oxygen levels up to where the treatment expectations were supposed to be. We are also planning, likely the following day, the addition of sodium nitrate to the aeration cell. It works as kind of a twofold. It is a bit of a help for treatment of the process, but it is supposed to be a masker of odors type of thing. To be honest, I've never used it and I don't know what its success will be, but it is an option that we're going to move forward with. We are expecting that we are going to have significant odors when we fire up. So we want to do everything we can to try to reduce the impacts to the surrounding neighborhoods. The idea of moving it out into the September timeframe kind of coincided with a few things. A lot of the public concern came around the enjoyment of their properties, the impacts to the neighborhoods, etc. So we certainly wanted to try to get through both the Civic and Labor Day long weekends. There's also some year-end soccer tournaments at those fields that are close by. So we wanted to minimize the impacts during those year-end tournaments. We do believe that the system will also, like early September, will have challenging conditions as far as water temperature in there and heat, and that's really some of the challenges that we've experienced all along, is the difficulty of the treatment process in the hotter weather. So we do feel that September will also capture the difficulties of heat and in that area. So that is our plan moving forward. That small pond, I think I've expressed to council before, but based on current flows right now, the turnover in that pond would be around 8 days. So from when the drop enters to the drop heads out to the back ponds, there is about an 8-day turnaround right now based on warm conditions and slower flows. So we anticipate that the system will push for at least 8 to 14 days, probably in that range, to start to see improvements. We do think there will be a benefit to bringing in a trash pump, so that'll be our rental that we bring in. The idea at that point would be to pump the aeration pond probably around the 7th out into one of the back ponds. The idea being that those conditions, I guess you could consider them, they'll definitely be anaerobic, but could be septic. And the idea would be that if we move some volume out of that pond, in theory, as you bring in flow, it should help or allow treatment to improve quicker. So that is something else that we'll probably be pushing in and around the Tuesday morning. And we'll just push to see what we can do with conditions. The Municipal Matters open house did provide our team and Lori's team with some good contacts, so we do think we'll be able to get the message out to people prior to this work taking place to make them aware and hopefully allow them to adjust for it.
Council questions? Councillor Blackwell, please.
Thank you, through you. Thanks so much, Mark, for this report. It provided a really good background kind of on everything that's going. It might be helpful in the future a little bit more to talk a little bit more about like the problem solving process kind of as opposed to the narrative report, but it was really good to get all that background. I have two questions. One is once we get the everything back up online on the 8th, what are we going to be using, or how are we going to be evaluating whether we're getting close to breakthrough or whether we're going to have to turn off and start again? Like, are we going to be testing, monitoring every day? How are we going to be evaluating?
So through you, Mayor Craig, so our team does have the ability to monitor some of the parameters within the site, whether that's compliance parameters or DO parameters. We have a unit that actually is in the pond steady, and then we have handheld units as well to verify. One of the other things that we're going to consider through the process of the project is, as many of you are aware, when you see the compliance reports and exceedances, those are, I guess, what I would call a snapshot. So we're only required to sample bi-weekly through that system. So there's often months where you might only see two sample results, whether that be on the raw or the effluent itself. One of the things that we don't necessarily monitor closely until you maybe get into a situation like this is what can actually be achieved. So we will probably take advantage of lab sampling at that point. We'll probably get some more parameters around the raw, what is coming into our site. And then one of the things that we'll take advantage of is the treatment process has an aeration pond up front, and then what we call the splitter box, which splits the flows out into the 2 back ponds. We'll start taking advantage of the splitter box and collecting some samples there. The idea being that while your effluent criteria may be compliant, the overall treatment process is supposed to remove different parameters at different rates from the front pond. So we'll probably work to collect samples out of that splitter box and get lab analysis on them to compare them with our raw at the same time and make sure that we're actually getting the, the achievements that we're supposed to from our system.
Thank you. A follow-up was, I've got some conversations, and we had them as well at the Municipal Matter event, specifically around air quality. And one of the things I'm wondering about whether is we can do it, maybe not for this project, but certainly going forward on the site, would it be feasible to install some permanent air filter or air quality monitors that would help us feel really confident in the community in terms of what might be in the odors, how far it's reaching, rather than just relying solely on the feedback of residents, something that we could have as a data point?
So through you, Mayor Craig, so we've had some discussions with the team that we work with as far as sludge removal process, the Bishop team. They do have equipment that we can either rent or purchase for measuring air quality. I think one of the parameters in there is something that we're already regularly monitoring for. The other parameter that they do cover is VOCs, which is volatile organic compounds. So we don't have the ability to measure for those in-house. To be honest, Councillor, I would have to do some more research as to whether having that data would be beneficial or what it would lead to as far as, health parameters or things of that nature. But we did hear through the Municipal Matters session that, there was some concerns around those conditions. I do think it is something that we'll look to monitor through the sludge removal process this year, just to capture some data and parameters maybe on a monthly or the 2-month process that we're going to run that. And that might be a good starting point for us to determine if we are seeing some hits on that equipment, or to pivot and investigate maybe other potential options.
Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. This is a tough one, Mark. It really is. We did spend some money. Was it this term or last term that we bought that system for over $1 million? I don't know if we have basically a performance security bond, but we might want to look in that in the future to make sure, because this system basically didn't do what we were hoping to right from the get-go. The only thing I have a question of is that if we get the system working properly in levels where we're supposed to, does that really kill the odor? I mean, is that, I know it will reduce it, but will there always be an odor from that lagoon? I mean, it's just the nature of the lagoon. So I don't want to give false impressions to the community that we get the oxidation, we get this, that, there'll be no odor anymore.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Craig. So that's a very fair question. My response to that would be that a lagoon pond is always going to have seasonal fluctuation or turnover. You typically see that definitely in the springtime when you see like the ice come off a pond or things like that. Those odors, I would say, typically would last a week. But you can have, we actually saw 2 this year, which is very rare for spring conditions. I think I mentioned to council previous, we had one on the May long weekend when things got hot so fast. We actually had a second turnover, which was quite unique. But it is possible as well to have an additional one in the fall as temperatures move. The DO in getting the treatment process to an acceptable level, I would hate to comment to say yes or no, but I think it is the logical first step for our team. We have also investigated some other options as well. To your kind of sidetracking off your question, Councillor Stewart, there is some there's some Ontario municipalities that are trying products now to mitigate odors. So we have been investigating some of those concerns or some of those options as well for consideration in the 2027 budget. The other options we are looking at is if we are unsuccessful with this process and getting our levels to where we want. There are other options, or we'll work with the contractor we had to determine, whether they have options, but there are other options for additional treatment process that we could look to add to that pond.
Just to follow up, the good news is that looking at our reserve budget for sewer, we do have money. So it's not one of those we have to borrow money. So if we have to use money, good value, I think that we'd be pretty open, the council, to move ahead. And even if you had to do it pre-budget, I think that we would be pretty open to it. Thank you.
Question for our CAO. Hello there. And it's excellent that our Director of Corporate Services is here too. In this particular year, we're not likely able to do pre-budget approvals for stuff like that. Are we? Yes, Roxana, please.
Through you, no, that's correct, because it would be direction to the mayor to include it in the mayor's budget, and the mayor cannot introduce the budget until the new year. So you cannot do pre-budget approval.
Well, if it was in the current year, like the staff has authority to look after the stuff that in an emergency case, but it just couldn't be like the traditional pre-budget approval process. That doesn't work, on the election year. Further questions for our manager? Thank you for bringing that update tonight. Just a shout out to you and your team for working diligently. Just a comment the other morning when I came out the front door, I said, that's the smell of money in the air, and it's got nothing to do with the lagoon. So it's our farm community is hard at work. So anyway.
Spreading to do it.
Okay, moving on. We have, are there any notice of motions at the meeting this evening? Our bylaws, we need a mover and seconder that the Restricted Acts Delegation of Power 2026 bylaw be deemed to be read a first, second, third time, finally passed and numbered as bylaw 2026-091. Moved by Councillor Blackwell and Williams. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. We move on to the consent agenda. They're considered routine and enacted in one motion unless, of course, a council member or the CAO would like one or more items removed from the agenda for a discussion and action either tonight or a subsequent meeting. Any items requested to be withdrawn for consideration? Might be 6 o'clock.
Oh, this could be a record. Mike, did you have any bet on this one?
Okay, so we need a mover and seconder that council approve the recommendations contained in the consent agenda dated August 12, 2026 and direct staff to proceed with all necessary administrative actions. Moved by Deputy Mayor Hinchberger and Councillor Kavanagh. All in favor? And that's carried. General announcements. Deputy Mayor, please.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Just a reminder to everybody that nominations period is open for the Afro-Caribbean Youth Awards, which are held on my birthday, October 24th this year at 6 p.m. And everybody's welcome to attend. Thanks.
Your birthday?
Happy birthday.
My birthday's on the 24th.
No, but you said there were people are invited to attend. Your birthday?
They bring a present.
Bring a present. I'm sorry, I gotta stretch it out. We gotta. Councillor Kavanagh, please.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to remind the community that the Canada Day fireworks have been moved to August 15th, which is this Saturday, weather pending.
Councillor Williams, please.
No announcements.
Councillor Monroe.
No announcements.
Councillor Stewart.
None today.
Councillor Prenger.
No announcements.
Councillor Blackwell.
I mean, if you really want time to be eaten up here, I've got like 12, but I'll start with a couple. I missed the boat. It community registration for programs, for our fall programs, opened yesterday. There's lots of opportunities there for swimming and senior programs and youth stuff, so check it out. They also did a new recreation guide this year, which looks really great. There is a beach cleanup happening this Saturday down at Station Beach. Gosh, I almost said Station Park. Thank you. Couldn't remember. The last thing I'll say is it's going to be a three-parter. Is that okay? All right. It's International Youth Day today. So on that note, the opening of the All Wheels Park is happening on Saturday or on Sunday. There's going to be some demonstration, BMXers, some skateboarders, free stuff given away. Pretty exciting. And also, there are nominations open for the Chamber of Commerce, including a special Youth Leadership Award, which Councillor Hinchberger and I are sponsoring. So please get nominations in for that.
Just a shout out to the Lions regarding the all-wheel park, because I had a random conversation with a young lady, not too young, she was young adult, and I said, oh, where are you from? Well, I'm from Teeswater. And I said, is your first time here? Oh, no, I've come up like 3 or 4 days a week. It's the only skate park within half an hour, so I come. So yeah, you never know who's going to use the amenities that are used. They come to Kincardine from Teeswater just to hang out.
We have an official opening this weekend.
Yes, that's what Councillor Blackwell said. Yes, Councillor Prenger.
Sorry, Blackwell. Council Blackwell.
It's okay to admit it.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I almost forgot. I'm so used to saying nothing today. What's that? Yeah, I know. He came back. I just wanted to mention there's another event going on this weekend. The annual Festival of India is on Saturday from 2:30 till 5:30 at Victoria Park.
I'm going to that too.
CAO, anything?
Actually, you stole them from me, so no more. Thank you.
Okay.
We're pretty good at that.
All right, we need a mover and seconder that the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Kincardine of August 12, 2026 be deemed to be read a first, second, third time. Finally passed, numbered as bylaw 2026-092. Councillor Blackwell and Kavanagh, all in favor? That's carried. And we need a mover and seconder that we adjourn at 5:43. Deputy Mayor and Councillor Williams, all in favor?